Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to a relaxed Friday afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are. Stream. Thanks for coming in again. Hello, hello. My name is Stefan. I am your host today. Most of you will know that. Let me just check. Oh, there's my iPad. Perfect. So, yeah. And another week, another work week, almost gone again. I don't know how you feel, but for me, the new year is passing as fast or even faster than the last year. So it's really weird, even though all that most of us do is just sitting inside at home because of COVID. The time is just going by so quickly. It's crazy. So let's make the best of the time we have, right? And of course, draw. What else? Let me know how your week was so far, what you've been working on. Share some stories, whatever you want. Happy to talk, chat, discuss, whatever. So, Sunny, welcome. Hello. Crab Spawn, hello. Marian, cheers. Thanks for coming in today. Happy Friday, yes. So yeah, for me this week was really relaxed. On Tuesday I had the stream with Adobe, which was really cool. It was actually my first live stream ever, first art live stream ever in German. So for any Germans in here, German speakers in here, who want to rewatch the stream, just go to Adobe Live, and then there's a category for German streams where you can watch the stream, and that was really nice. It went well, time went fast, really quickly. I wanted to give an insight into my process and my had a look into my files in Photoshop and was explaining my creative process. And I had the plan to do that for 3 or 4 images, but in the hour we had, I only made it to 1. I could only explain 1 of them. So they invited me to come again in March, which is cool. Yeah. Yo, Atrinius, nice to see you. The beard had to go. I have this, I don't know, this with my beard, it's like every couple of months I feel like that it is annoying me, and I think, okay, this has to go, I don't want to have it anymore, and then I cut it down and then I let it grow, and I feel like that's like the fresh beard growing again. But the feeling of it growing like in the first couple of days and weeks is so so annoying as well. So I don't know why I do it again and again, but that's just the wrong decision. It's usually just a spontaneous decision for me as well. So shall we have a look at what we're going to do today? Adrianus, by the way, cool that you come in again today. Happy to see you. Hope you're doing well, and hope you did well in the last weeks. So on my last live stream, I think last Friday, I created this greenhouse outlines. So we went through the whole scribble process. So this was the first scribble. I developed that live on stream, and then the next step was doing this scribble here. As you see, it's a really detailed concept with a lot of plans. I want it to be really dense, really packed with a lot of things going on. Not, of course, there's no real action happening in the house, but I mean, just a lot of details, because I want to have this dense atmosphere, this and it's supposed to be a really positive, really cool nature vibing thing. And so I didn't finish all the outlines on the stream, but I did that in the meantime, because today I want to talk about colors and finding the right colors for this artwork. So that's why in the meantime I finished the outlines, and now we can have a look for color palette, and I'm telling you what my what my thoughts behind the color palette will be and things like that. I also added these plants here in the foreground. It's a commission piece, so I sent the outline, like the current state we see it here, sent it to the person who commissioned me for this drawing and asked for feedback, and they liked it, so we can move on with it. And that's why I made this layer here with the white backgrounds for the leaves, because like this it looks messy. But we're going to put the foreground layers here on the side for now, and have a look at first at the background and everything. So what I really liked about some of the references I picked was this very clean, bright, white, light ochre, light beige kind of building walls. These painted walls of these classic greenhouses. For example, I really love the one in Edinburgh, and they have this Victorian greenhouse building style with these kind of windows we see here. That's also inspired by this style. And then the walls are really clean and white and stand really interesting in an interesting way against the green of all the plants. So I think I want to go with something like that. That's the first thought when going for colors. Let me just make some color notes, I would say. So let's go for the ring. So we have, of course, a very light yellow, orange. It's probably, what's that? That's probably like this. That's very bright now. Maybe can go in little less saturated, little, yeah, like this. This is better. And then we can make some alterations, probably in this direction for the walls. It's only just trying some directions for what I want to have the walls for colored like. So I should watch the chat a little bit. Super busy, Atrinius. Yeah, that's the same for me. But I set myself the goal to not overload myself with work anymore for at least January, February. I had some really interesting requests for possible collaborations and jobs that I'm doing now, but I want to really try to not get into this stage of being fully overwhelmed with work, because I had that too much last year and it stressed me out quite a lot. I was happy enough to at least be able to create a lot of personal art projects still, but it stressed me out. So I hoped I can manage that this year. Of course, it's all a financial matter as well, because I mean, you have to pay your rent, so you have to work. So I can't just turn down all the job offers. But there's of course I am in the lucky position that I can pick the ones that I really like to do. Crab spawn, Marian. Is it Marian, like how we say it in German, or is it Marian? Is there a way to color on the lines using the image you uploaded on Discord? Oh yeah, sure. That there is. You can pick that image, and I don't know what drawing app you use. You're in Procreate, I think. Yeah, no, please do not select the white areas and cut them out. That's not the best way. But let me show you. You pick this, let's say this layer is the lines layer with white in it, and you press that little N here and set it to multiply. In German it's multiplizieren, in English it's multiply. It's the first in the list here. So I'm going to show you. Let's see. So let's say this white. This is the white background. And then we have the black drawing. Right? And then you add a new layer under it. Set this to multiply. Add a new layer under it. Just normal layer. And then you color it. See what happens? You stay behind the black, but we paint over the white, because multiply is that it takes the dark colors and it blends them with the layer that is under the outline layer. So absolutely easy. Please do not use the selection. It's not the best way. Hope that was understandable. Hey Medolis, nice to see you. You got all shaved. Yeah, not for the Adobe thing. For the Adobe thing, I still had my mustache. Hello Rumil, nice to see you. Oh, Merolos, you want to have a critique? Yeah, sure. Yeah, Adrenius explained it in the very short way. That's right. Merolos, yeah, sure. If you can, just upload your image to Discord if you haven't already, and I can give you a critique on that piece. Just type something. So you prefer like critique in Discord, written critique? I can do that as well. That's no problem. Just whatever suits you best. So yeah, now that's the direction for the wall color I want to go. And then, of course, we have a lot of these plants here, and I mean, we have very busy illustration here, and what I want is to create a very positive, very calm, relaxed feeling. So a color palette that would be too much saturated, too loud, have too much contrast would not really work for what I have in mind, you know, because when you go for something more relaxed, you usually go with a lot more tuned down colors that match each other. For example, I wouldn't like have this is an extreme example, of course, but like if you compare these two greens here, of course the upper one is very, very loud, very much saturated, and the other one is not so saturated and not so bright. So, and that is the difference here. Also you can use a contrast between, let's go for more yellow, like this, or you can go and have like this green, and then you have a green that is very blue, like that, which creates a lot of tension. I don't want that as well. It can be a way to create tension when you need it, but I don't want it in this image. So I'm going to try to go with a green that has a lot of yellow in it. So we're aiming for this area here, because two reasons. Because I think personally, it's warmer than a bluish green, so it creates more this positive and relaxed feeling. Second reason is that we have the wall color here that is also from this area, and this is an area in the color circle that is that are neighbored kind of. The more I go down here or here, the far away I get from the wall color, from the origin. So I think the better way would have probably been to make to decide for the colors for the plants first, because that's of course the color that will have much more room or much more space in the image, but it also works this way. So let's see. I think this is really bright actually, so I think I'm going to go for. And it's also not a problem if the color is really more yellow or orange than green, because I don't need to be super realistic here. Okay, Marian, then. I try to remember that. All right, Midwellis, let's do the text version then, and then I have a proper look later. If you have no pressure, we can do that. So this is probably still a bit too bright. The difficulty or the challenge here with the green ones is that you easily slip into a very muddy and very dirty area. So let's say you go for something like that because you want to get more darker versions. It looks like it looks a bit dirty very quickly, so it's not so easy to find the right ones here. This one is better, for example, because it's a bit clearer. But I think this direction is good. So it's just some trial and error and trying to match the colors. So let's try and see how it looks and if we can move forward with that. It will change in the end a little bit anyway, so it's not nothing you do here at this stage is like set in stone. It's there will be some color grading in the very end, but in between I often make a little change here and there as well. But we'll see if I need that here, because sometimes it's hard to foresee how colors really work with together with your objects and elements in your artwork. So just thinking about if I should first do the plants or the walls. Let's go for plants. I think I can make use of the reference function in Procreate here. If you don't know that, just when you have the outlines layer here, just hit it and choose reference, the third from the bottom, and then go to new layer. it's important to choose a new layer because you want to separate that to be able to make changes afterwards. And then you see it behaves like as if you were filling colors to the original outlines layer. Let me just switch to reference here, by the way. So that's really helpful and saves a lot of time. There's one thing that you need to keep in mind is I have a very rough brush I use here, and you see when you fill the layer, you see here it doesn't get into each like little corner of that rough edge of the brush, and you can control that with holding pen down and just sliding left and right. You see this color drop percentage on the top there, the little number. So that's kind of the threshold, like how much the tool is supposed to fill. And you see when you fill it too much, it's swapping over to areas you don't want it, like that. So you need to find the right amount. And sometimes I'm just like drawing, like here, drawing this a little bit over it, so these blank areas are filled. Still saves a lot of time. Hey Ivy, Grüße. Oh, you're at work and listen, watch secretly. Can't you just sell watching this as Fortbildung, like as a course you need to take for your skills? You're not illustrating at work, right? Yeah, Rumel, the banana leaves are some of my favorites. When I go here in Münster to the botanical garden, I also always love these kind of plants, these kind of leaves, the banana ones. I always appreciate them a lot. So I'm going to go for a couple. Couple details here. For example, the inner parts I'm going to color a little bit different. To create a little contrast here and there. The music volume is that in Ordnung? I wanted to say. Is that fine? Because felt like last time the music was a little bit too loud after I went into cutting the video because I wanted to upload it to YouTube later. I felt like the music was a bit too loud, so just let me know if it's distracting. Oh, that was too much here. What's a UCP? Is that like a USP, like a unique selling point? Unique creative point. So filling all these sleeves will be really a lot of work. It's just, but I find this kind of work relaxing, especially when I found my color palette. At this point, I'm not 100% sure if I really want to go with these colors or if I need to make a little shift later. So I will decide in a bit. Usually, when I colored a couple elements, I can say better if that's the direction I want to go with, or if I need to make some alterations. But the most relaxing part in my process is probably doing the outlines and doing the coloring the elements, and especially with very, very detailed stuff like that here. Sunny, for the canvas size, I have, this is 4,000 to 5,000 pixels. It is a size that is enough for displaying it on every 4K display. So that's usually my rule of thumb, is to always work minimum 4K, because that is suitable for all digital needs you may have for that image. And also, it is a size that you can print on a lot of different standard sizes. Of course not if you want to go with, for example, a really huge print of like 80 centimeter to 1 meter or so. It's a bit, you usually need a higher resolution. But for A3 prints, for example, or for something like 20 centimeter and 30 centimeter, it's enough. So it's I would like to work on even larger canvases, but it gets I just lost my house shoe here. It just gets the file handling gets a bit annoying, because you can't have so many layers in Procreate, and you have really huge file sizes of like 500 megabyte or so, or even larger. So this is my kind of meeting in the middle between a large file and file handling, I would say. Start with the right size. That's good. There's nothing more annoying than starting with a very small size. Like, for example, if you make something first for digital use and make a full HD file size, and then later someone comes and tells you, hey, I would really like to print this on A3. And A3 is not that super large, but with a full HD file, I think it's even not large enough for A3, if I'm not wrong. So that's really the most annoying thing that can happen, is that you have to, in the worst case, really redraw something, or make like major changes to something to make it printable. It happened to me, and try to prevent it happen again, because it's really nothing. I think nothing worse than having to redraw something. So I'm going to make a little alteration here. I'm just thinking like which direction is. I'm giving a little bit more, going more in the red areas here, I think. Let's see. I think that's even more dense, more warm, compared to what I had before. So, but that's just really a minor change. And I'm also going to paint the walls now. I'm using a different layer now because let me show you what my idea is here. I think I'm going to just paint everything very, very roughly. Yeah, that's Rumil. That's the exact thing I also do when I have work that is really that needs a lot of layers, especially for animation. But I find it such a pain to sit there and go through your layers. Okay, what can I merge now? What can I merge now? And I'm always afraid like that I need a layer some hours later for whatever reason, and that I shouldn't merge it, and it's just so annoying to me. But there's, of course, what you can do is not use Procreate. So go over to Photoshop, for example, or what I also do. What my current solution is, I copy the file. I copy the file and merge the layers in the copy. And so when I, in the end, need something unmerged, I just go back to the original file and can copy it from there. That's the workflow that works best for me right now, but it still sometimes feels a little bit bumpy to work like that. I hope they find a way to increase the layer numbers in Procreate. Or second option, by the way, is using Photoshop, but only for putting it all together in the end. I did that before as well. For example, I would here draw the walls and the plants that are on the walls in a file. Then I draw in the next file I just draw the plants here, and in this third file I draw the foreground plants here. But I mean, we don't need that here, but that's just an example of how this could work. It's also not such a super bad workflow, actually. Then you have Photoshop for merging it all together. Scudlick, hello. What's up? Drawing time is up. How about you? What are your plans for the Friday? Okay, so that's the lower part. Let's see if I did it right. Oh, wait. Oh, looks good. Okay, so now I have the walls here on a separate layer. The inside of the windows come later. I think I'm going to maybe do that right in the end when I have the color setting for the room. I'm going to decide what the light will be colored like. So that's that. Okay. Like Antonio and stuff. So it's is Antanas the version? The German version would be Anton, probably, or Antonius. You can have the same for Stefan as well. It's you have Esteban, Stefan, or Etienne, and in the Balkan area it's Stevan with a V, and then you have Steven, of course. It's I think that name exists in almost every language in the different version. Oh, you're sneaking in while working. Then you can group up with Evie as the sneaky secret at work watchers. Yeah, I can definitely recommend getting into sketching, of course. I'm the pro sketching advocate. I'm trying to find for each kind of plant I have in here. It's not that every plant has a real reference. So the banana plants are obviously taken from the real banana plants, but something like that here it's not a real plant that I had in mind for these. But I still try to find at least little variation in color for all of these. So this kind of plant you see here is here again. It will get the same color as this one here. So it will have a little bit of consistency that way. I'm sure there is a real plant that resembles my invention here, but I don't know it. And then next is I try to again get some variation in the plant itself. So give it some slightly different colored leaves, for example. The name of the style, yeah, that's a question I hear regularly, but it's not so easy to really give it a name, especially when you work in this style for years and refine more and more, and you develop the style, so it's not never really staying very much the same. I find it really hard. We had that, I think, didn't we have that same topic last stream? I'm not sure. I think yes, it was last stream. So I can only tell you that my origin is very much in Ligne Claire. That's the Franco-Belgian comic artist style that they established. And apart from that, I always say that it's just really outline. I think there's one big separation between outline illustration and flat illustration or painted illustration. So if you outline and then paint the elements, or if you paint them directly, for example, like in classic painting, that is more similar to what we know is digital painting. So that's not what I do. So I think that's a very, very important separation between styles. But then after that, it's the Stefan style. But if you look, I mean, it has origins in comics a lot. So comics or basic comic styles is something that is the starting point for a lot of styles I see out there. And I think that's also where a lot of these outline first illustration styles come from. So I'd say that's an important meeting point for many styles. And apart from that, probably other people can describe my style a little bit better than me actually. Oh, Scott, like you asked that question. That's funny. Yeah, you look. Now you have two times the answer, and probably a little bit different versions. But maybe if you found out something, you can. In the meantime, you can help Sunny. Picking colors, yeah. So I started the stream by describing what feeling I wanted to create in this artwork, and the direction I want to have here is very, very relaxed and chill and positive. So my first, the first results from this decision are to pick colors that are not too cold like this area, but more warm like this area when it comes to green for the plants, of course, for example. And also not to pick colors that are either too saturated, like in this, you can see it better here. Everything on the far right, it's this thing here, is the saturation. And so everything on the right is highly saturated. I try to avoid these highly saturated colors because they are too loud. And I also try to avoid using colors that create too much of tension and contrast. For example, if I have this yellow here, I should be careful with adding something from this area here, the purple blue, because it creates a complementary contrast. So I'm going to try for this illustration to stay within like this area, probably. Not even a quarter of the circle, maybe 1/5 of the th. 1/5 of the circle here, to have more consistency, and then it's really a lot of trial and error. And yeah, of course, that's also a lot of comic studying comics, where this comes from, I guess, because I think comic artists, classic comic artists, are or were really, really good at finding the right colors, because their coloring was even more important than for me, because they had to be absolutely on point, because the drawing, the outlines are much simpler. They didn't work a lot with effects like I do. For example, the grain effect and stuff like that, they usually didn't have that. So if you have a look at these classic Tintin comics, for example, or I always read Asterix and Obelix, loved that, Lucky Luke and stuff like that. They are usually really well balanced and colored in a very well balanced way. So it's of course very poppy and very saturated because it's still comic. But if you take if you analyze that and take that, and for example in my case here, take out the saturation a little bit, take out the super high contrasts a little bit that make this comic style pop very much, then you are on a good way to develop your own coloring style and color palette style. Yeah, Adrinos, I have the same, by the way. I also find it fascinating that this question comes up so often. It's really crazy. I think it's because, like, when I remember right, Scatlick last time was interested in finding more work of other artists that go into the same direction, just to get more input. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I have that in mind, that you wanted to, for example, go to Pinterest and get like just as much input as possible on this style, which is absolutely understandable. And it's the same way I learned a lot, to just study a lot of illustrators that I found super fascinating, and thought like, okay, where can I get more of this? Because I want to study it more, and I want to analyze it. So I think that's the main reason. And yeah, apart from that, people usually just love to give things a name, I guess. Maybe I should think really hard and come up with a fancy name for my style, so whenever I get that question next time, I can go and say, hey, it's Lean Stefan. Well, you can find people with my style, Sunny. That's definitely possible. It's not. I didn't mean that I have such a unique style. It's, for example, it's more like the stuff that I draw. It's sometimes maybe a bit different, but I also do a lot of cyberpunk illustrations. So, and you can find a lot of cyberpunk artists, for example, that have a similar style than me, and that also inspired me a lot. For example, for cyberpunk, it's, for example, is Deathburger. I saw a Deathburger post today, so maybe he pops to my mind. He's a very, very huge reference for me, and I learned a lot by studying his work. And if you have a look at him, you definitely can see parallels to my work, or you rather see parallels in his work. Or no, I want to say that he came first and then I came after. So there's a couple others. So basically, you can just check who I follow on Instagram, and I usually follow a lot of artists who do what I do, because of course you want to network and stay up to date to what kind of output they have. Yeah, the isometric style is something that is really, I think, that has had quite a renaissance since a couple years, and right now I feel like I'm lucky that this is a bit of a trend popping up. It's a good thing, and I see it more and more. So, and I think it's not only for art and illustration. It's fantastic to. It's also fantastic to use it for infographics and whatever kind of explainer animation videos and whatever. It's just a fantastic style and an approach on perspective that gives the viewer this top down look that, especially when you want to explain or show the structure or something, it's fantastic to have this all-knowing view in isometrics, but without the complicated eye-tricking thing of perspective, because technically it is not a perspective. I think Arduinos, maybe you can jump in there. I think it's not officially a perspective, right? What I find really funny is that I started with it because I was struggling with perspective, and I wanted to have an alternative that was easier to handle, because you don't have to care for vanishing points, and for a realistic approach you can just have your isometric grid and try to push everything in there, which is not easy, by the way, but still you don't have to mess around with perspective. And so that's what my approach was first, and I think I'm really happy now that I try to push it further with like the houses project I just released and all that stuff. It's just really fun and rewarding to work with that. Yeah, Scuttling, that's right. It's not so easy to describe some stuff. I mean, people study for years to be able to describe a certain piece of art, and so it's really not an easy task to sometimes put into words, especially if you have something that also works a lot with emotions. And I'm not surprised that many want to categorize stuff like art, even though it's so individual, but categorizing stuff just helps you to approach things and to get access to things, I guess. So I don't think it's a problem, but sometimes it's just not so easy. But yeah, if I got some time, I try to come up with my own name for my art style. That would probably bring me to the next level of artists and illustrators. Like I then am one of the few who have their own art style. Oh yeah, sure. I'm going to share stuff that I like whenever I have enough to share. I did not have time to browse Instagram that much lately, but whenever I have, I'm using the save function just to when I have like 10 pieces of art that I loved, I'm just sharing it in my stories. It's I think it's entertaining and also helps people to find new artists, which then helps the artist because they get probably not new followers. So it's definitely a win-win. So funny thing is that one of the very few elements in this that is probably not green are the trunks of the palm trees. Is that right? Trunks? Is that the right word? I'm not sure. So, question is if I should just paint green and ignore the fact that these are usually not green, just to have it consistent. Or I can give it this direction between green and yellow, maybe. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that blends in quite well. That's cool. Even with beer, yeah. Oh yes, I know that from sitting here with my when I do a draw and drink stream and trying to describe the beer I'm just tasting. It's definitely it's not easy. Yeah, it's with beer. It's probably it's a good comparison because it's also about taste, of course. And as much as I always say that art and illustration, especially illustration, when you really illustrate for a client, for example, and you have a clear task about what you want to achieve with your illustration, I'm very, very direct to say it is definitely not about taste, because this is not like some random magic we're doing here, but because we are making decisions like how we want a piece of art or an illustration to what emotions we want to create with it, for example, and how we show certain things to make them understandable. That's why I really don't like when people say it's all about the taste, because it isn't. But with beer, beer, it's really, that's really taste. Of course, you can train your tongue and get better in tasting certain nuances, like in whiskey as well. But if someone says, okay, I don't just like it, I don't like the taste of it, there's no argument against that. Yeah. Describing liquids as dry is that's. Yeah. I think you you know where this term dry comes from when you have it on your tongue and you have this weird dry feeling. But I never really had that with beer, for example. I know that from wine. And I think when you have the like really dry red wine, you know where this comes from, that people describe it as dry, because you have this special feeling on your tongue. But with beer, I don't know. It's never had that, actually. Maybe I never had a dry beer. But yes, it's and also I think with wine, it's the category of how sweet it is, right? Not sure. But yeah, it's funny indeed. Yeah, 'cause, 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 ' Sunny, you have two artists who have courses, but you mean they are not active on Instagram anymore, or what do you think? Well, it doesn't matter if the course is 2 years old or even, I mean, there's a lot of art books, for example, that are 20 or 30 years old, but the good thing is that not so much changes in a lot of categories there. So, for example, the human anatomy hasn't changed that much in the last 30 years. So if you have, for example, have a book about drawing human anatomy, it's usually doesn't matter. I have a very old one. I think it's even 50 years old or so. Got one here, which is considered a classic. I'm not sure which one, what it's called, but so the only thing that you are to keep in mind is probably that software changes now. So if you have a software related course that is 2 years old, I would be or I would have a look at that, because that could be that they use functions that have now better updates or so. Yo, Jakob, what's going on? Rumel, yeah, I had an Kingfisher. I had one when I was at an Indian restaurant here, I think, and then I think even another one. But Kingfisher seems to be like the best known from India, right? I think they had two, and I think I tried them both at different visits there, but I'm not sure. I think it's Kingfisher is just a lager beer, right? So I think lager beers are usually just they all taste really good. It's something I can just always, no matter the brand, I can always drink. Jakob, yeah, this is one of the Reflections tickets. Are you informed about the Reflections project? If yes, this is the ticket number 9. So the last one will come out soon, by the way. And then the project is finished for now. I don't know if I want to have a second season. That's, of course, an option, but so far I didn't decide on going for season 2, but I'm definitely having a pause for now, focusing on other projects. So yeah, this is kind of a client project, but not in the classic way. It's not a commercial client. Dave Star, hey, nice to see you. Thanks very much. Yeah, the colors are coming together. It's a challenge for me because I do not use green a lot in my art. And for this one, I wanted to go for a really nice green, natural look, which is not so easy because I'm not so I don't have so much routine with using green, actually. But we'll get there. It will be fine. Tuborg? No, Tuborg is a Danish beer, isn't it? I'm pretty sure Tuborg is from Denmark. No, yeah, the erase. I don't know. I feel like I'm faster than erasing, you know, because I have to choose another tool and then you have to be precise again. And I don't know. It's just somehow came into my workflow over time that I just undo and do again. Yeah, that's actually a funny fact. I only do that when I else had to undo a lot of like a large area. That's something where I would use the erase tool. So now the middle part is looking fine so far. I just have this area here, just on the right edge, that doesn't look correct. I think I made a little mistake here by misinterpreting this part here, this, as a wall, while it's in fact window. So what I'm going to do is very short and elegant solution by driving over this here. Oh yeah, you want to steal the idea. I think we talked about that, Jakob, right? So yeah, go ahead and steal it, of course. I mean, it's stealing ideas is one of the most important parts of the NFT space. Anyway, right? No, yeah, still, I would love to see that, actually. I would find it really cool if you would do such a project, because I think that this whole ticket commission idea is something that more people should try, because why not? It's the perfect combination of doing commissions and selling NFTs. So it's for me, it worked really well, as we see. I mean, this is ticket number 9. I sold them all. Ticket number 10 I'm pretty sure it will sell as well eventually. So yeah, it's working. And the contact and the communication and like project discussions I had with the collectors were all completely really cool. So not a single one of those commissions was annoying or so. They were all super respectful. We're like, basically, you can just do what you want. I have an idea. What do you think? We were discussing really openly, so it was fantastic workflow with all of them. Maybe I was just lucky, but maybe not. Oh, okay, that sounds interesting with Manifold. That's cool. I mean, I have some experience with Manifold from the Curious Cabins project, so and it was really smooth, and I'm very very excited to see what they will do in the future. It's really great working with the studio. Has been great. And yeah, the request for this one was basically the collector just sent me a photo of a greenhouse and told me that they really liked the vibes in this greenhouse. And I think that this idea came from seeing one of my Curious Cabins. Actually, I'm not sure. Can ask them, but it was like they sent me the photo and asked like, hey, would you be interested in doing something like that as an illustration, like a really cool and beautiful greenhouse? I could imagine that it matched your style, and I'm like, sure. Good. And that's it. That's I mean, then I went with a scribble, sent it over, asked for feedback, and it was the right direction, and here we are. So it's very very smooth and extremely relaxed and uncomplicated process. This sorry, I'm just looking outside. There's some clouds that have really funny shapes. Looks crazy. Nature is fucking crazy. Yeah, exactly. It could be the last, the number 10. It could be that one from his side. Actually, it has some parallels. With Manifold, I did the Curious Cabins. I created the contract and minted the Curious Cabins artworks through them. And it worked really extremely smooth. It was really nice. So let's go for the sea roses. I'm just trying to think about what I want the water to look like. Usually when you see photos of greenhouses, you have this very very dark looking water. It's usually very almost black. But what I want to try is, I have the light later when I'm caring about the light. I have the light coming from these windows mainly. Mia, thanks for following. How are you doing today? So the light will come from there, and we have this very dramatic but still smooth. I'm going to try to find a balance between dramatic and smooth. So we're going to have that. And then I would really like to go for a nice reflection in the water that will reflect the building, the upper part here of the building. So I think I'm going to leave that blank now and paint the sea roses, and then after that will be one of the very last steps. Actually, I'm going to see what I can do with the water reflection. That would be fun, but I have to wait for it a little bit because it doesn't make sense to do that now. So yo, Barry. So we have first-hand first-hand contact. That's great. Yeah, if you want, you can tell us or tell me about what you attracted, or what aspect of the reflections project attracted you, because I was just talking about how I think more artists should do this kind of this kind of commission system, because it's such a cool combination of doing commissions in a new way, you know. Because commissions in the, I don't know if you know, but commissions in the art scene and between artists have often not such a good reputation, because many see commissions as something where you have to draw someone's dog for $15. A lot of people and a lot of artists do that, and it's not in my opinion, not a very sustainable way of making a living through art, because it stresses you out, because you have to draw like 10 of these things a day. It's not really something you want to put in your portfolio, and it's not giving you jobs in the industry as well. And I think with this NFT ticket system, something that is definitely completely the opposite, because all of the art I did for Reflections so far is something I would put in the top line in my portfolio. So it's really I'm really happy that I made this and did this, tried this, because I didn't know how it worked. Wasn't sure how it would work back then when I started it. So I'm just thinking about how to color the nice Victoria Amazonia or so, I think is the name of these plants. As they are in the foreground, I want them to stick out a little bit more, because I want the viewer's eye to really be attracted by these. So let's see. I think I'm going to use another layer. Jakob, you have your streaming setup finished. Nice. Yeah, well, probably you should not do stuff that you explain in your Domestika course, because it would show people that they don't need to book your course. But apart from that, I don't know. I would really like to see how you come up with your character concepts and stuff like that on stream. It would be really cool. Bosgurt is the German lesson. Damn, I wanted to come up with a couple of funny German words that I can explain. I created this reward without really having a plan for it. So what's a funny German word? Jakob, do you know a funny German word? Let me think. Maybe I'm going to come up with something a bit later. Something will come to my mind. So I think I'm going to balance the colors of the plants in the back a little bit different. I think change it. And then I can so I balance the colors of the plants here in this middle ground again a little bit more into the red area. So because I want to use the direction I had there before for the leaves here. kind of swapped the color reservation. Oh, you worked in a greenhouse. That's cool. Which one did you work in? Is it a well-known one? Something I really like to do when I am in a city and they have a botanical garden is to go there and check their check the botanical garden greenhouses, because I think it's often really like a hidden gem of some cities actually, and love the mood in there and like being completely surrounded by nature in the middle of the city sometimes. So must have been cool to work there and get that little extra portion of nature when you needed it. Yeah, that's a cool idea, Jakob. That sounds good. If you need any input or advice for Twitch streaming, let me know. It's I find Twitch, or I think that Twitch can be really overwhelming sometimes when you start out. I made the mistake that I think I wanted too much too early, like all the functions, and I wanted to try everything that's possible, but the possibility on Twitch are really crazy for streamers, and right now I actually made a step back again and kicked a lot of stuff that I had on my streams and just focus again more on drawing and the art, because I learned, please let me know guys if I'm wrong, but most people are here to just see your process and have a chat about art, and I had the feeling that I needed to entertain all the time and needed to like do some stuff when I had 10 minutes of not telling anything but only drawing. But I think it's fine. I think people just like to vibe in here, and it's not that you need to be extremely entertaining all the time, I think. So that's I think that's the main advice I would give, because I think there's no need to have a super expensive setup or whatever from the start. It's fine if you can just like me, show what you do on your iPad, and I like it for people to be able to see me, so I have very regular webcam, and that's it. And it works for me now. Thanks, Barry. That's really appreciated. That my style is the selling point or the selling reason. Yeah, it's the best compliment you can get as an artist, is especially when people tell you that your style is remarkable and that it's unique. And I really love to hear when someone is showing me something on the internet and tells me, hey, look, this is just looking like it could be an illustration of yours, or this is just your style. And I'm like, okay, this is my work. You just found my work somewhere, because it shows that it's distinguishable from other stuff you see. And yeah, that's cool. Also, of course when clients and brands come and say, hey, we want to work with you, and you say I have no time right now, and they say, okay, no problem, we wait 2 months because we don't want to do it with someone else. It's just the maximum of compliment you can get, I think. And it shows that very, very much work and patience and continuous drawing pays off in the end. Oh yeah, the German word Schnupfen. Yeah, Schnupfen is like having a cold, right? It's something that is that people talk about very much right now with the pandemic. Schnupfen. And that's I think there's a ton of funny German words for sure. I need to make a list for when people get that point reward here. I first thought about making a reward that I talk German for 5 minutes or so, but that would probably result in people leaving the stream. So I decided for this idea. Ohrwurm. Ohrwurm is also, but I think there's Ohrwurm is almost the same in English, right? I mean, it's catchy tune, but I think you can also say earworm. Is there any native English speaker who can confirm that? Because I think you can say catchy tune, or you can say earworm. Oh, you were a service worker. Okay, cool. Netherlands, England, Germany. Oh, so you traveled actually for seeing a lot of greenhouses. That's it's nice. Then you know a couple. I'm jealous. Babestar, how long it took to find the style. Yeah, I always say that you never stop finding your style, but I know what you mean, of course. It's that what I explained as that what is remarkable and unique. For me, it depends a little bit. You can say that it took maybe 10 years. But you have to add that within these 10 years there was a long period or there were multiple periods where I didn't draw very much. So when I started drawing more professionally, I didn't really draw much. I just did it like on the side. And in my media designer job, sometimes there were projects where they appreciated someone who could draw a little bit, but I couldn't really draw very well. So, and I didn't do it very much back then. And I really heavily started drawing at my first semester at university when I studied design. And that was 2011. And I think I had this direction where I knew, okay, this is something I want to go with. I had that towards the the end of my bachelor, so that was 3.5 years later. So let's say 3.5 years of really, really intense drawing, like every day for hours, were the core of my process for finding my style, I would say, where I stopped experimenting very, very much, but focused on this style, this outline style. But I don't know, others who need it much less. It's really very individual. I think I experimented very much and more than a lot of others do or did. So that cost some time, of course, but I still enjoyed it because it was just fun to explore other art styles, like traditional styles like painting and even sculpting and stuff like that was really something I like to try and to look into. And then, like towards the end of my bachelor's studies, I thought that I wanted to focus on digital illustration because I just hated the fucking mess that traditional art creates, you know. All the stuff you have to buy and all the space you need, and you make a mistake and have to like completely destroy the piece of art because you were distracted or whatever. It's just it was a pain for me, so I decided to go full digital then. Born with style. No, that's not true. I want to really do a little sketchbook tour at some point, where I show you my sketchbooks from the first 2 semesters at uni. And there's so much crap in there, and I really wasn't good at drawing. I can tell you, it's embarrassing, but I think it would be cool to go through that at some point. Oh, Barry, can you send me a photo of the orca drawing by the print? Sorry, the orca print, by the way. That would be really cool. I would love to see that. That would be amazing. Yeah, I also thought about offering prints to each collector, like just one-of-one prints that come along with NFTs, but I'm not sure. I thought that probably everyone could print it the way they want, like you on the acrylic plate is. You can just pick the material and the size you want to go with. So, but it's cool you did that and you printed it. So oh, Marian, you're coloring the same image now. That's nice. That's cool. I would love to see results. So if you can post it on Discord later if you want, that would be cool. So we got a new follower, Lemons. Thanks very much for following. Sunny, I'm going to talk about the colors in a bit. Just a little bit of patience. Just reading the comments. Yeah, babe, so that's right. You can say that Um, the 3 years of intense drawing are included in the 10 years, by the way. So it's, and I also have to add that after finishing my bachelor, I focused more on design for maybe two to 3 years, where I didn't draw that much. I had some illustration gigs here and there and made some personal illustration as well, but I dropped the intensity because I felt a bit exhausted of drawing for hours every day. So after finishing the bachelor, I took a lot of design jobs, founded a studio and cared about that a little bit. And after a while, I felt like I was missing the drawing again. And that's when I picked it up and started to do it intensely, like I do it now. Just the difference is just that I focus more on the business of making illustrations. So it's not that there has been, like I mentioned, 10 years of intense drawing. I would say in the first 3 years that were extremely intense. It was really like the core of learning the basics, and getting better, finding your expressional direction through working your ass off all the time. And now it's more like the intensity is very high, but I can I take advantage of the stuff that I learned during that phase, because now it doesn't feel so hard for me to adapt my style to new artworks or to a scene that feels new to me or whatever, because I have these basics in me. The muscle memory is in me, and I can just push it through, which is really cool. But yeah, I think the 3 years of intense drawing are extremely valuable for me now, because, like I mentioned, the muscle memory is trained, and I can make use of that all the time. Hope that makes sense. Destruturato? That sounds Italian. Thanks, Barry. I'm going to check the DM later. Destruturato, what's that? No, I don't know that, obviously. It's a tattoo style. Oh, that looks funny. I wouldn't get that myself because it wouldn't match my own tattoos, because I don't have such bold drawn tattoos. But it looks cool. It's like icons, right? It's like little icons matched with color, like with flat colors. It's really cool. Nice ideas. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. But my tattoos are all super detailed, and very, very like with very thin lines. That's kind of the opposite, actually. So I'm going to color these funny little wall plants here. Oh yeah, coming back to colors, by the way. Sunny, you asked about tone contrast, something like light wall and dark green. Yeah. There's different kinds of contrast. We all know, of course, that there's color contrast. Like complementary is one of the most known, because it's also very easy to understand, because it's colors on the opposite sides of the color wheel. And then we have, of course, something like light and dark contrast. And that's what I basically use here for the wall and the plants, because we have not a complementary contrast. I mean, if you see this is the more saturated version of the wall, by the way. And it is of course a color contrast. It is a clear difference between these colors, but it's not extremely heavy. So the main contrast is definitely here the brightness, because I'm using very desaturated, very bright version of this yellow and put it against the darker versions of this of the green and this yellow-green mix. And where it gets interesting is when you look at something like this for example, because this is not such a huge difference anymore. You see this is close to merging a little bit, these two tones. And this is what I use as a connection between everything, because I have, like I said in the beginning, I want to have a very consistent, very smooth vibe in this whole drawing. I don't want it to be too heavy, too loud. And I use the middle tones between, for example, this and let's say like this. Let's say this is a middle tone between these two, and I'm using these to create the connection between the wall and the plants here, for example. And this is all happening on the circle between this very small area, I would say. Just roughly eyeballed, but I think it's roughly this area. And this what gives us this very consistent look. Of course, you have to balance the tones. If you go too far into this direction, the contrast at some point goes away. So that's something you just have to trial and error until you find the sweet spot there. And it's just experience. I mean, it looks very fast how I do that, of course, because it's something I have done often before, but with some practice you'll get there. Is that answering your question? Let me know. You wouldn't get that on yourself, the tattoo. Yeah. Do you have a tattoo at all, or are you non-inked? Yeah, I'm always looking for the very... My first one here on the arm is not so super detailed. It's like this. I can't... It's hard for me to show. That is better. Like this cassette with the tape. And if I would get this again today, I would have it much more filigrane, more detailed. But it is what it is. It's like that's the thing with tattoos, right? You have them, and it represents a certain part of your life where you got them, and so that's fine by me. I'm not regretting anything, but I wouldn't get anything less detailed than that. I'm lucky that the tattooer I trust is someone who loves to work with details. Jakob, you're... damn it. It's not... There is an adapter for that, and I think it may be... yeah. Have a look at the... Have a look at what's inside this little thing I sent you. Ich glaube, da müsste ein Adapter drin sein. Ich hatte nämlich das auch an einem Rode-Mikrofon. Das hier ist auch ein Arm. Das hier ist auch ein Rode-Arm. Und da brauchte ich auch was anderes. Ich glaube, das war dabei. Guck mal nochmal. Oh yeah, you mean that? Yeah, that's of course also a strategy to have a look if your contrast works. To put something black and white and see if it's still there still a contrast. To be honest, I'm not a full believer in this strategy because I think it's completely fine and normal to also have contrast that in black and white do not create contrast because they have the same gray value. So the thing is, with this strategy, you're trying to have a difference in the gray value of every color. But I don't don't pay attention to that very much because I don't think it's necessary. Where it can be necessary is when you have the feeling that two colors you put together next to each other and you feel like it looks a bit off, the contrast looks off, they don't really separate, and maybe you have this weird flickering between two colors, that they resonate in a very strange way with one another. Then it may be helpful to try and see if the gray values are too close to each other, but especially in coloring lines like I do here, it is not that much of a problem usually. Ja, Jakob, schon mal, also ich glaube ich hatte das gleiche Problem auf jeden Fall. Ich habe auch einen anderen Arm gehabt und dann habe ich mir den roten Arm gekauft und da habe ich das Ding auch erst nicht dran gekriegt. Some microphone tech talk, sorry. Smilex, hello. Welcome to the stream. Damn it. Another German lesson. you want to punish me. You want to really punish me. I have no German words. Okay, I was talking about the clouds before. Do you know what Schäfchenwolken are? Anyone ever heard of Schäfchenwolken? Schäfchenwolken is Wolken means clouds, and Schäfchen means little sheep, lambs. And I don't know if there's a representation for this word in English, but Schäfchenwolken means that clouds have like a shape of little sheep, you know, the wool of sheep when they are really puffy and like with these round puffy shapes you see there. Fleecy clouds. Is that a word? Fleecy clouds? Is that really damn, wrong layer. Looks like German lessons really popular with you guys. So good to know. Fleecy clouds. Okay. Next time I'm going to come up with something drink related, some weird Oktoberfest terms. Oh, we're just 2 hours in the stream. You spent your points well. That's good. That's good to hear. I'm going to have a quick break, very quick break. Refilling my water here because I need to rehydrate, and I'll be back in a minute. And I also need to find a new music streaming because this one is over as well after. And here we go again. What is a medieval Suklov? What's that? Oops. Cheers. Next time maybe again with beer. Right now only water. Right. So, only a couple plants to fill, like the very, very detailed stuff, and then I can go for putting in some shadows. It actually looks kind of interesting with the white background or the white water, right? It's somehow fascinating look. The Sicilian crowd jazz. That's interesting. I would love to hear that or listen to that. So now let's go for some good old jazz, lo-fi jazz beats. Running the one of the chill hop playlists today, by the way, both the previous one and the current one. Much recommended, not only because they're clients, but also because the playlists are really nice. I hope to do a couple more music backgrounds, streaming backgrounds for them this year. Really love to do that. I think I mentioned that before. I think it's a fantastic example of how a brand can build their visual identity on illustration. It's great to see that they're successful with what they do, and something other brands can really learn from, like how to use art and illustration from different artists to still create such a consistent visual brand. All the tiny leaves. All the leaves are green. No, Stefan, not. No singing on stream. So I think usually after coloring all the main elements in here, I would go for also coloring the back side, the windows. What you see behind these windows. I just want to have like, I don't know, some kind of solid, maybe a gradient or some kind of very simple solution there to not distract too much from what's happening inside the greenhouse. And it is, yeah, light coming from the side of the windows. So even if there were any elements like other houses or some kind of structures or more nature outside, you wouldn't see much of it because the light would blind you a little bit. So but I think instead I'm going to proceed with the shadows because I would like to give you very comprehensive insight into my coloring process today, and for that, as I don't know how fast I will be with the rest, for that I think it's better to go with shadows first because it's unlikely that I'm going to finish the whole artwork today on stream. That's just too much work left to do. So basically what we have here now is the lean clear style I've mentioned before. So this is very much resembling, apart from of course probably the amount of details and a little bit the style of the whole my line drawings, but basically this is now quite the lean clear style, which means just clear black outlines with flat colors underneath. Okay, is that all of them? Yeah, I guess. So now the next step is I have one or two other ideas, but next step is like bringing in my own very own process. Not doing it to Lean Claire, but Lean Stefan. Okay, cool. I'm going to make one layer in this very flashy red, which is my test layer to see if there's any uncolored parts. This just helps identifying, look, here's one. This just helps identifying parts of the image that miss color. Here's one that is a bit too much over the line. Okay, cool. Discord is originally a chat and communication app for gamers, actually. So gamers use it first for example, for voice chat while playing and stuff like that. And it became somehow a community app now. It's like a chat app where you can build communities. Like, for example, for me, I can gather people on my server who just like my work and who would like to share their work on my server, who would like to get feedback by me, and where I also inform, like you mentioned, inform about any new stuff that I'm working on or that's happening. So yeah, that's basically, it's just community chatting and stuff like that. I know it can be very overwhelming because it has so many functions, but I think that sums it up quite well. Oh, you see, the professor has seen something on the arch near the big leaf. Here or where? Wait. Which one of the many big leaves do you mean? Here? There's a little... Oh, and here's one more, actually. Do you mean this one? Then it was very well spotted. Usually you can't get them all. Other side. Here, this one is... I think I got them all now. Oh, it's dark. Okay, okay, I see. Oh, here, this one, right? I was looking for the red spots. Yeah. Thanks very much. Very good eyes. Okay, cool. So, for the shadows, I am making a new layer on top of the colors and set it to multiply. That's the same function I was telling Marian of at the beginning of the stream. And now I'm going to pick a color for the shadows, starting with gray, and then I usually have it have a little bit of color in this gray, like don't use just gray, just a regular gray for a shadow, but colors, because in reality shadows are also not just a lighter version of black, but yeah, shadows are super important. It's crazy how much of the mood they influence. And that's, for example, when I was talking about Linclair before, that's what I find so fascinating about this style is they use, of course, shadows, but they also just solid black, like this area here, just solid, painted solid black. And what I find so fascinating about this style is that they create so much emotion and mood and everything without really properly caring much about shadows, I think. I mean, they care about, but they don't. For them, it's not such a huge part of the process, like for me right now here. And that's really impressive, I think. It's a lot coming through composition and other details. So let's pick this banana plant here. I add a new layer, set it on clipping mask. And if I now fill this clipping mask with, for example, let's pick this first. Let's make this, take this red. See how I can change the color of the shadow very easily. And that's what I usually do in the end after I finished all the shadows, like playing around with that and see how this affects the whole mood. Go with some lighter versions like this, or more dramatic like this. That's a really nice tool you can make use of. So as said, the light is coming from the back windows mostly, so there will be a lot of shadow in this image because it is natural to scenes where the light is coming from the front, like from the opposite side of where you as a viewer are standing. And it's something I don't do very often because my images usually don't have that much drama. But I think for this greenhouse scene it's perfect. So for each shape I think about, okay, where is the light hitting here? Where do we need to add shadows? Where is this border, like this area between shadow and the rim light, I think it's called, right? Where's really a rim light and where's not? So that's just something to keep in mind for each new shape that I'm adding colors to, shadows to now. But you see that also is I don't pay extremely much attention to it. It's not like that I sit there and think, okay, this leaf is 80 degrees turned to this side and has to have this kind of shadow. It's really much more of a feeling and a quick decision I do try to take here. It looks very heavy now. I'm going to soften it down a little bit later. So in case you're wondering, it is almost everything is in shadow now, but that's of course one thing you have to consider when you do have the light source in front. That is, much of the image will be will be dark. No, not dark, but will be affected by shadow. The textures are no brushes. Sunny, the textures are image files that you put over your whole image or part of it, depending on how you work. So, and there's what is it called? There's a PDF file that explains how to do that in the download. But I think I always would recommend, if you only want to get one of my packs, I would always recommend to get the brush pack, because I think it's more basic and you can make more use of it for now, because the textures is something that is really special and that doesn't affect your drawing itself so much. Well, I think that that my brush pack is really cool to use as standard brushes for scribbling and outlines and stuff like that. Sure, no problem. Happy to help. Nice, thanks very much. I hope you like them, and yeah, if you have any questions, there's instructions how to install them, and everything is in the brush pack. But if you need any more tips or so, just let me know. Yeah, absolutely agree to that. Praise the internet. It's also, for me, it's also really amazing with how many cool artists I could connect. Or I'm able to connect on social media and everywhere. It's really, I don't know how artists came into like this kind of exchange. Before, I guess they only knew the people who were living at their places or whatever. But there's not so much going on here. Shadows is also really a lot of manual work, so it's comparable to doing the outlines for me. Just going over the whole drawing and really by hand, adding lots and lots of details. There's no real shortcut to it. That's what I am envious about when I look at 3D artists, because they can just generate a shadow, and that is in the end even way more correct than what I'm doing here. So that's really cool when you are a 3D artist, but it's fine. No, not at all. No question is annoying me. I'm always happy to answer questions, sure. Yeah, finding clients is definitely a special topic. So there's a couple of rules that you can, or a couple of tips or tricks that you can try to keep in mind when looking for clients, but there's no real rule that will lead you to jobs. It's always to be ready and to be in the right place in the right time, in my opinion. But there's a couple of rules, or no, I'm saying rules again. No, not rules, but a couple of tips that can work. And that is, of course, first of all, is working on your portfolio and your style first. So you have to really you have to always keep in mind that you need to put the work in your portfolio that you want to do and the kind of work that you're interested in, because clients usually look for people where they can relate to for their own projects. For example, if you have a project or a client that has a project in mind and needs an artist or a creative for this, they are looking for something similar that they have in mind. And you will usually get booked for what you show and what you do. You're not getting booked for stuff you want to do. You're getting booked for stuff you do. And that's one rule I really had to try to always like say to me again and again, because I put stuff in my portfolio that I did for other clients that I really didn't love, you know, but I did the project because I needed the money, of course, which is completely fine and normal. It happens, but I got more work of this kind, and I was like, hey, I really want to do something else, but I'm always getting booked by people who want to get stuff done that I'm not interested in. So that's the first thing, is to work on your portfolio, work on your style. Don't expect to be booked for stuff that you do not show on your website and everywhere you are on social media. And then if you have a portfolio ready with work you would be interesting to do for clients, it's just all about letting people know that you are available as a freelancer. I had lots of business contacts with people who would have been interested in working with me, but didn't really know what I was offering and what I was able to do. For example, I had clients I did design jobs for, and then they by accident came across my Instagram and were like, hey, you do illustration as well? We didn't know. So that's one thing you really need to do, is like let everyone in a non-annoying way know that you are offering freelance creative work, and that you are an artist who people are able to hire, and tell that other freelancers as well and friends, because there's so many people looking for creatives and they don't know where to start. And what do? They ask their friends, their colleagues, hey, can you recommend someone? Do you know someone? And if you're the person who comes to mind, like in the first place, like instantly, then that's the goal you want to achieve. You know, that you want to be the person that pops into their minds when they get asked the question. And that you can only achieve by telling people what you do, sending around portfolios, being active everywhere. It's just that then one thing comes to another, in my opinion. And then you get to a point where like the domino pieces, like one falls and all the others fall, because you're getting the jobs that you're interested in. You can put them in your portfolio. Others see, hey, they are offering this and that. And also very important, you get recommendations by business clients to other potential business clients, because that's also one thing where I get a lot of new job offers and requests, is when one of my clients recommends me to friends or business partners. It's really, really important part of getting new jobs, actually. So that's a whole toolbox of things you can do. And it takes a while to get there, but continuously working on that is paying off in the end, in my opinion and my experience. but you have to give your own art and your own development time for getting there. So you have a distinguishable style and something people remember you for first. Actually, that's the problem in the whole business, you can't really start working or you can't really start working on the stuff that you want to do at some point. Yeah, it just takes time. Maybe I'm going to release a little, I don't know what kind of article or so about this topic, where I share my tips and what worked for me. So because it's a lot of input, I guess, on a stream. So maybe that's something I can share when I open my Patreon at some point. Because that's supposed to be a place where I share such information, not only for people who pay, but for everyone. I think I want it to be just a place where I share this stuff for everyone to read. Yeah, the stories are a good way to share this content, of course. But it's not so many people look into these look into the story highlights. So I want something that has like a link to an article, and when someone asks me about, hey, can you tell like how to get new clients, I can share the link to that article. And that's right now my plan is to have that on Patreon, and then they can just read it there in a comfortable way, and they don't have to read it within the Instagram app, for example. But yeah, making these stories was also really something I enjoyed. In different countries. Yeah, well, that's the good thing with the internet, right? You usually it doesn't play any role in what country your clients are. For me, for example, I don't even work for German clients that often. It, I feel like Germans are not so extremely interested in my work, actually, because I also on Instagram I have of my I think 48,000 followers. It's like under 5% are Germans. So that's why I also do my streams in English and everything. But most of my clients are in the USA and Canada and other countries. So it's when you promote yourself online, doesn't play any role what country these guys are in to want to probably hire you. Really? Under 1%. I think for me it's like 4% or so. I'm not sure. I didn't check. I didn't check lately, but Germans are really not that interested in my work. It's really funny. But Germany is also not so extremely interested in illustration. For example, for editorial, German newspapers and magazines don't rely that much on illustration as, for example, French or US editorial products. So it's really my experience that I get a lot of requests from other countries for these kind of jobs. I hope it will change in the future. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of artists in Germany. It's kind of weird. The culture is a little bit different here. For example, my agency, I have an illustration agency that represents me for clients, in front of clients, and is on the look for new work for me. They're called Artbox, and they are in Amsterdam, for example. And although we had a large project last year that was for Kia Germany, actually. So the German department of the car manufacturer. They did a whole book for their new electronic car with illustrations from different artists. It was quite a cool project, actually. That was maybe one of the very few projects I had with German clients last year. English is definitely, like, being good at English is definitely helping. But I think, I mean, I don't have the feeling that you're not good enough with English, at least in writing, that you couldn't deal with the client. Sunny, I think maybe you're lacking the confidence, but it's not that I have the feeling that you'd have big problems there. Depends on the project, of course. Sometimes you have clients that need to explain super complicated stuff to you. Crazy, man. Jakob, you have 1% on the top 5. Let me just check. I think South America is really strong with me as well. But I have... on rank 5 is 5% India. Then I have on rank 4, 5% UK. Then I have Mexico on rank 3, 5.3%. Second place is Brazil, actually, 5.6, and USA with 19.8%. So it's really, I think it's very widespread, right? It looks like it's, I mean, USA is of course very much on the top, but I think there's the rest of it is very, very widely spread, which is cool. And I checked a third-party app for the lower percentages, and I think Germany was actually at least almost on 5th place with 4.5% or so. I find it a bit weird sometimes. It's not a problem or so, but I don't know how you feel about it, Jakob, but it's sometimes like feeling a bit weird that people in your country are not really that much interested in following you. It's I can't explain it. It's not a problem, but it's just you're curious about why that is, and I would like to dive deeper into the data and like how people receive my or our work, for example, how they consume it. Yeah, it's a good. I understand what you're writing, Sunny. That's absolutely fine. I think you're doing well, and it's all practice. Funny thing is that when I started streaming, I didn't feel so much comfortable with speaking English as well. So I'm streaming for around 14, 15 months or so now, I think. And at first I felt really uncomfortable with like coming to English speaking meetings with clients, for example, although this happened really often. And but I still had this little nervous feeling before I entered a meeting, like being afraid of not understanding stuff. And I also started streaming to push myself a little bit and to trigger myself a little bit to learn it and to get better. And it was really amazing how fast it changed, that I really didn't have this nervous feeling anymore. And I think that's really mostly because of the streaming. And it feels completely natural to me now when, I don't know, before when a client from the US called me on my phone, for example, I was like, oh shit, I have to answer that phone now and I have to speak English. How do I do that now? And now it's like just I pick it up and just start talking, and it's I know I have my German accent, but that's fine. So I think people understand what I'm saying. So just about not having this anxiety anymore, which is really cool. My top cities are all South American cities, by the way, Jakob. That's really interesting. I think there's no city from the US. It's all, maybe New York, I'm not sure, but it's all, I think it's even Lima or so is in the top place. I need to make a story out of it and to thank my followers from South America. Luminixy, welcome. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for following on other platforms. Happy to have you here as well. Now, let me check the cities. So yeah, place 1 is Lima. I think that's Peru, right? I'm not sure. Lima, Peru, yeah. Then it's Mexico City, Santiago de Chile, Bogota, and New York City. Yeah, between 0.9 and 1.4%. It's really interesting. Oh yeah, I know. Other Germans have a very, very hard accent. No, that's I'm trying my best there, really. But still, if you think about like listening to me as British or American native English speaker, then they definitely hear something in my something in my accent. Usually they identify it very well as German, actually. You record the rap verse? Interesting. Is that something you do? Are you like, do you rap for a hobby or? Now I want to listen to that. Can I? Is it available anywhere? Okay, now I want to listen it even more. If you've never done that before. Yeah, nice. It's that's cool. Rapping under the shower, yeah. I sometimes also come up with my own lines under the shower, but not really rap, but just some nonsense. Really nonsense that I just do to yeah, out of boredom. It's usually very full of swear words, stuff like that. Things you never should release to the public. For your cycle piece, okay. Weren't the color pieces weren't they supposed to be finished by now? They gave me like Thomas gave me a deadline long before, like, January 10 or so. Oh, you shared it. I didn't see that. Let me just. That's so cool, man. Oops. That's really nice, man. That's really cool. I think that sounds really nice, man. Just, I mean, for a first try. Is it? Are we good with sharing it? I can show you mine, or did I show you mine? I'm not sure. Here, this is my cycler illustration. And, kind of cyberpunk alternative to what they usually use, like some kind of hover bikes or weird cyberpunk cars. Yeah, I think the project is really cool. I think it's really unique. The team is also super nice, so definitely like what they're doing there. I didn't do a lot of collabs for generative project lately, but for that I couldn't say no. Also because I am a cycling fan, not in terms of sports, but in terms of everyday, as an everyday mobility option. And I think people should use their bikes more often instead of cars. Yeah, I also got two. I can show you later. Yeah, I'm not so much into like biking or cycling for sports. That's also absolutely not my thing. But I mean, I'm living in Münster, which is the absolute cyclist capital of Germany. So best you can do here is just go everywhere by bike. But I think in Hamburg it's also very popular choice, right? When I lived in Berlin for half a year, cycling was not so fun. It was more like a war on streets. So the middle area is almost served with a lot of shadows. Yeah, I think not only almost, but completely. So as last little part of the stream, I'm going to show you how I then soften the shadows in some parts to make the borders here not so hard between shadow and not shadow, and to also create an even more convincing light setting. That's what I wanted to say. And that's where I first used the grain brushes, and I create a mask here, a layer mask, and set this one to reference the colors. And then I pick one of my currently in experiment mode brushes, so they're coming out hopefully soon. And then on the mask I am choosing, for example, the banana plant here, like that. What's that? Okay, doesn't matter. So the light's coming from this window here, and now I have a selection of the leaf. And now I go with my grain brush. I'm going to pick this grain brush and soften out the border from where the light comes, like this. See, and that's again just where I feel like the shadows should be softened down a little bit. Can do that. So for comparison, like that. You can also use an airbrush, for example. The Procreate has some standard airbrushes that work absolutely fine with that. I like to have a little bit of grain in there, but it's nothing you need to do. No, it's just like the style I'm going for here. And that's what I am going to do with every part. For example, this here, That's better when you works better when you use the selection. So you can really select this. For example, only the part that is in direct contact with the light source. Yes, that's the next step in the whole fun. Oh, you mean the space noise brushes, probably. Yeah, that's the brushes I used for a long time for my grain. That's these here. These are called space noise. I can give you a link just a second. It's these here. In the meantime, I developed my own brushes for grain, but they are not available right now. So they will come out in a couple of weeks, hopefully. But the space noise brushes are also really nice, so I recommend them very much as well. Silver tongue getting stuck on a piece. Yeah, sure, that happens, of course. It's just a normal part of the process, in my opinion. So I think there's two solutions to that. First is if I really want to go, or if I really need that direction I have in mind for something. I try to make a break, give myself a break, work on something else in the meantime, and then I try to come back with like a fresh mind, with like the brain rested a little bit, and see, okay, what do I need to do here? I usually try to avoid this though by working on my first scribbles and concepts. And work with that, and I usually identify a problem where I think something is not working out in that part, and not when it's not too late to make changes. But sure, sometimes it happens, and if I'm just not happy with it, and if I can't get my head wrapped around it, I try to either change the artwork until I'm happy with it, or I try to change my expectations sometimes. It happens, for example, with client projects where I have a piece that, for example, I'm not happy with, but the client says, okay, this is what we imagined, or this is something we can work with. Sometimes I'm just shifting my own expectations in this direction then. So being flexible there. If the client is happy and you think it's not something you would put in your portfolio, it's completely normal and it's fine for me. Ideally, of course, everything you produce is among the best of your works, but it doesn't happen. So yeah, it's an interesting question, but I think that sums up my approach to that, to be honest. In there's rare occasions where I really put a piece completely down and start new. It happens in 1 of 100 pieces I do. I think I really completely stop and say, okay, I need to take not 1 but 10 steps back and just start new, because it's not worth pursuing that. But yeah, sure, there are some dad art bodies in my on my iPad for various reasons, but it doesn't happen that often. I think because of planning, because of preparation for my process and just doing one step after the other. So guys, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to call it a finished stream at this point. And I'm going to finish this one in the next days. You will see it on Instagram, on Discord, and everywhere I share my art. I'm also going to put the stream on YouTube, so both the first part and this part from today, so you can rewatch it there if you want. And maybe for another piece I'm going to get more into what comes after this, so the effect, like finishing the whole, like putting together all parts of the image in the end. Maybe I'm going to focus on that in the next stream, but I have plans to finish this soon, so we are going to do that on another piece. Yeah, it happens a lot, of course, Silver Tongue. It happened more often a couple of years back for me as well. And what I often did was just push through, finish what I started as fast as possible, and just start something new, because everything you're not happy with is also learning, and every artwork that you finish, even if you don't really like it in the end, is in some way worth finishing, I think. So if you can, try to push through, start new, and you will learn from it. I'm pretty sure about that. So yeah, thanks Sunny for the active chatting. That was a pleasure chatting and talking to you. Methods, you could only lurk today. No problem, man. Thanks for lurking and watching. It's appreciated as well. Yeah, next stream will be, I don't know when. I'm going to inform you on Discord and Instagram. I haven't decided yet when I want to make a new one, but we'll see. And until then, let's meet and talk on Discord, share your art and your process with the community, and see you soon. Have a nice weekend. Thanks for the active chat, and bye bye.